Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll for Monday, December 6th, 2021. Just 25 days left in this beautiful year of 2021 as we get closer to 2022, Christmas, New Year's. And this time of year, we go bowling. It's bowl season. And even right down the road, well, an hour away, friendly Fenway Park. I got my tickets for SMU, Virginia, which, would have been nice to keep the locals in BC there, but it is what it is. I guess they wanted to get out of town as well. So, I'll be sitting at the 50-yard line. No peanuts, popcorn, and Cracker Jacks. But I think the under-over in this game probably would be set in the mid to high 70s, and it might get it by halftime, but I'll let Scotty figure that one out. I don't want to say a crazy, crazy day in the NFL. Congrats to the Lions for getting their first win. Kind of miraculous that they haven't had a win since week 13 of last year. So, but they had a couple games they definitely should have won earlier this year. But first and foremost, prayers up to Paige Bucher, the UConn women's generational player. They played Notre Dame yesterday afternoon. I didn't see it live. I saw some stuff come out on social media. And so as I was finishing my night last night, I watched the replay of the game, and in the last 40 seconds of the game where UConn was up 20, she was dribbling the ball up court, and her knee looks like just gave out and was down for a while. So I haven't heard any reports, but prayers up to UConn Nation and Paige. Hope for a speedy recovery and all as well. So without further ado, let's get into yesterday. Let's see. I guess it's a pretty big game in the AFC East, and the numbers moved since last night, and some sharps coming in, and we'll talk about that. But my man, my co-host, the man with a plan from the Palm Tree State himself, the one, the only, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Scott E., my brother, what is happening?
Hey, Jeff, good morning. And, I always get introduced that way. And I sit here and think to myself, holy shit, I hope there isn't another one like me out there. The one and only is always good.
Of us, and then we'll address that when that happens. How's that?
No worries.
Yesterday, might as well throw it right up there. An interesting day in the NFL. Favorite 7-5, overs 5-7. Big dogs at cash. Obviously, the Lions plus 300, Chargers plus 145, Steelers plus 175, Seattle plus 136. I talked at length on Sundays, our ECSI VIPs. Generally, whether we're up a handful of units or down a handful of units, the week's complete. Instead of putting your bankroll at risk, if you're down, say, 3 units, let's put 5 units into play. And, we think you're going to go 5-0, 4-1, and we're going to get back to even. Well, you don't really realize the fact that you can go 0-5 or 1-4 and really take a week that is a loss and turned it into a big loss. So we do the action parlays, and we were gifted yesterday. And I tell you what, we were gifted, blessed, and holy moly, you want some sweats. We gave out Steelers money line plus 175, Seahawks money line plus 136, and the Chiefs money line minus 360 just to win. So we'll go to the Seattle game where they struggled early. They had it in hand, and then they got 4.5 yard on the one. They can kick the field goal to go up 10, of course, but we know that's not going to happen. So they go for it, and they fumble. And here comes the Niners, drive all the way down the field, and 4th down, and Jimmy gets the ball batted. So there's one in. So now we got the Steelers who struggle all day, who dropped the touchdown. The list was endless there. They moving the ball like they're going to kick the field goal to win the game, or of course, with Baltimore, they got Tucker. So if they get the ball only needing a field goal, it's one pass, one Lamar scramble, and it's lights out. Well, they get the touchdown and the 2-point conversion. So they're up 7. Of course, the game's over. So what does the kicker do? Kicks it out of bounds. So they're starting the ball on the 40, and of course, they move all the way down. And 15 seconds left. Lamar, touchdown to Sammy Watkins. Say it isn't so, Sammy. And then what does Harbaugh do? He puts up the peace sign. Peace. And I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. And an amazing play. Had him open, and Lamar missed him. Yes, Lamar missed him. And we win that game. So now we got a netted 7-14-66, right? So now I reach out to my guys in Circa. You could have got the Broncos plus 336 on the money line. So my point there was I sent out the recap, and I reached out to everyone on social media, and I said, listen, if you're holding a plus 714 ticket and you want to guarantee yourself $500, you could have put 150 on the Broncos money line there, and win or lose either side, you were going to collect 500. And it was a great day and a great way to end the week. And as we like to call it, Envelope Monday. But a lot of people like myself, I like where Kansas City is going. And it's funny, the offense is what's struggling now. The defense has been playing phenomenal. And offensively, again, he's getting back to the sidearms. I mean, Tyreek had only 2 catches, yada, yada, yada. But I blabbered enough here for 8 minutes. So the stage is yours. You want to talk about yesterday, some of your wins, your losses, what you saw, whatever you want. The stage is yours, Scotty.
Yeah, it's always good to hit those parlays at the end of the week and then go into the Monday and go, holy shit, that was fun. And especially the way you win. I mean, that's why we do this. I mean, this is just so goddamn much fun when you sit there and you have those kinds of wins and those kinds of sweats. And then, of course, you remember those a little bit because when you're running bad, they don't miss that pass, and he scores and he covers gets the 2 points, right? So, and then you sit there and you're throwing your hat and you're jumping up and down and you're storming around and holy shit, it feels horrible. But that's what we do. I mean, that's what's so fun about what we do is when you get those wins. I think about that when you got a baseball game going on and you're down 3 runs and all of a sudden they come back and they just can't be stopped. They score 5 or 6 or some shit. And you're going, oh, I don't know what the hell happened here. And then you say, it don't matter what happened. We just want to bet. So, I mean, it is what it is. So yeah, I always say never, ever, ever feel sorry for yourself when you win something ever. Whether you got lucky or whether you didn't, it doesn't matter. You got to play and you won.
And the funny thing is, you're right, Scotty, because we went 0-5 in the week, meaning 0-5 in overtimes, shootouts, and we had one college game with a walk-off at the buzzer. So, we had a hard time getting traction. We talked Sunday. We were that we had the over in the Wake Forest game, and we win that. We have a 4-1 Saturday. So we were building that traction. And the difference between a 3-2 and a 4-1 day is huge.
Huge.
And then to be able to nail that and to get a couple of units up for the week. And then you kind of forget about the OT losses and the shootout losses in the NHL. You're right. It really helps going into a great game on tonight. And it's a game where I'm excited to listen to you because on paper and the eye test, I think you know which side you're supposed to play here. And if you want to go back to past history, when Bill and the Pats are on this roll here, you go back and look at some of Tom's runs. They keep on winning. His record before a bye week and his record in November, cold weather, whatever you want to say, But where the actual true value is tonight, you and I both know, but we're going to get into that. So go ahead, Scott.
Well, my day yesterday was 2-2, so I come off the 5-0 from the weekend of college football, and then I was 2-1 in the early games, and then I was on Seattle, so that didn't work. I mean, I was on the 49ers, so that didn't work out real well. But I just sit here and watch some of these games, and I still think that Pete Carroll's got to go. He's a terrible football coach. I shouldn't say that. He's a terrible football game manager at this time, and how they want to operate and how they want to run their team is not conducive to winning in the NFL these days. And they're not. I mean, they won 4 games. I was on Arizona, and that was just a blowout from the stretch, and I felt that way going into that game. The other game that I won that was I would tell you it's an easy game, was the New York Giants team total under 16.5. They didn't threaten the end zone. They kicked field goal. I think they scored 9 points or some shit. And they could have scored a touchdown at the end and still would have not hit over 16.5, which in turn needs to be said as we go into these next few games. Watching the Miami Dolphins and their defense. They are starting to play some football. I think they've won like 5 games in a row now or something like that. And again, these teams don't always play the toughest competition, so you got to kind of keep that in mind. But if your defense is going to hold teams to less than 10 points, you got a pretty good chance to win the game. Even if you stumble into the end zone a couple of times, you're going to win. So the game that really frustrated me yesterday was that Cincinnati Bengal game. If you watched any of that game at the beginning, I mean, I think they gave away, I don't know how many points. I mean, really, a fumble return for a touchdown, and a guy tips a pass and it gets intercepted and it goes back. I mean, they just gave away, I don't know, I'm going to guess that 20 points, at least 20 points in that football game they gave away. And then they battled back and they battled back and they battled back. And then they went for it on 4th and something and didn't make it or whatever. And then the game was over. The Chargers took it back and did all the stuff. I mean, it's like they ran out of gas or something, or hit that wall and said, I can't go any farther. But that game was pretty frustrating. And I'm not so sure I like that coach either. We'll see how that kind of plays out. The Chargers got rid of their coach because they didn't like what he was doing, and now the guy that's there is even worse than he was. So I don't, it's Anthony Lynn is now gone. It's some other guy. So it's just interesting how these games play out. But I will tell you, you had mentioned the Fenway game and numbers and whatever. All the bowl games have lines, every single one of them. And in that particular game, let me go back to where it is. It is, I think it was 71.5 was the total. And I think I'm trying to find it again. There's like 75 million games on this board. That game was somewhere in here. Trying to find it. There's East Carolina Boston College, so it's got to be right there. And it's also SMU minus 1.5. So SMU minus 1.5, Virginia, and that total in that game 71.5. These college games are going to be fun, and I put out that preview yesterday of the Toledo game without any line. There wasn't anything there, and I don't remember what the score of the game was that I put out there. But here we go, Toledo minus 10, and that's kind of what I was looking at in that game. And then I did one last night with the Coastal Carolina Northern Illinois game, and here we go, Coastal Carolina minus 10. And I'm sitting there, I'm going, holy shit, can't we at least get these games to be, within 7 points of each other and shit when you start matching these teams up and stuff? But all that being said, it's fun, it's entertainment, it's going to be a good holiday bowl season. There's some interesting things like the line moves are unbelievable already. What I'm seeing is Fresno State opened at minus 17 and against UTEP, and now they're minus 12. Holy shit, Jeff, 5 points? Are you kidding me? that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh my God, these numbers and these things. People think they know all kinds of shit, don't they?
Well, here's the funnies, and I'm going to toot my horn for 1 second here. I was going back and forth with the guys at Circa late Saturday after the Georgia-Alabama game, and in my head, having the Final Four before it was released on Sunday, I had Bama 1, Michigan 2, Georgia 3, Cincy 4, because I'm saying they're not going to put the rematch there. There was no way they were going to set up that rematch. And we're going back and forth. I'm like, hey, do you guys have any early lines? No, not yet, Jeff. We'll have them on Sunday. And I had Bama minus 13.5, and I had Georgia minus 9.5. And Circa comes out with Bama minus 13, and they come out with Georgia minus 9. And everywhere else, that Georgia Michigan opened up at 7.5. And listen, I was sitting here till I'm blue in the face Saturday night. I even talked to you yesterday about this. I'm chomping at the bit because I can't wait for the rematch. But I'm going to say this. This Michigan team has just been getting overlooked and overlooked and overlooked and overlooked. Okay. And I want to see Georgia get to the rematch, and I just want to see them just destroy Bama. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I do, because everyone jumped on. They were overrated. I knew it. They can't beat Bama. They can't beat Saban. But the true and the thing was, they were already in the Final Four. They're not going to open up the playbook. It was a game of desperation for Bama, and they won. But my point is this. Michigan is a live dog in that game. And so I'll just go out and state it this way. The winner of the Georgia-Michigan game will be your national champ.
So what if you just in thinking this through, right? This is the first time Michigan's made it to the playoff. It's the first time Michigan's won the Big Ten championship in the playoff type scenario, where this is the first time they've been in. And they did it in dominant fashion. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. But is it because of Harbaugh, you think, or do you think it's because their kids are good and all that stuff? Because the reason I ask you about Harbaugh is because for years, we've not really thought he's been a great college coach, great college game manager, that kind of thing. Maybe he's a pretty good recruiter. Maybe he's pretty good at other things. Maybe he wears khaki pants. I don't know, whatever it is. But he's now going to face Kirby Smart. And when you start talking about how to handicap these games, you have to start looking at some of these coaching situations. And, in my mind, I don't think he comes close to what Kirby Smart can do in terms of in-game. And if it's not going good for Michigan, what's he got to go back and fall on it? He doesn't have a quarterback that's going to be he's not a pro quarterback. They're going to either play great defense and they're going to stop people, which is what Georgia does, or they're going to play smash mouth, run the ball down your throat type football. Okay, well, what do you think Georgia does? Georgia, in my mind, is the team that is the best at that format, period. They're better than Michigan when it comes to that stuff. What I guess the in-game adjustments, the things, I just don't see it.
But I'm going to say this, okay? Here's my take. It reminds me of Mr. Kelly and Notre Dame, okay? Put it this way. Michigan, if I say it this way and you disagree, maybe I'm saying it wrong. Michigan is not a football elite school, okay? They're not in Ohio State where they just, spit out these 5-star, get ready for Sunday type. In other words, everyone's poo-pooing Harbaugh because he couldn't beat Ohio State, okay? He couldn't win the Big Ten. Okay, same as Mr. Kelly at Notre Dame. He got him to the Final Four, and then what always happens? He played in Alabama. He played at Clemson. He can't match up with that speed. He can't match up with that talent. They're always double-digit underdogs. Thanks for playing, but you made it to the Final Four. I think Michigan's in that same boat. Listen, Harbaugh's winning percentage, I think he's top 3, 4, or 5 in the country since he's been there. The guy's winning 9 and 10 games every year. He's just not beating Ohio State, and he's having a hard time with his rival Michigan State. Okay, so they're not a Bama, they're not a Georgia, they're not a Clemson. My point, I think, with them this year is they get stronger play at the quarterback position. Their offensive line is the best, if not top 3 in America. Yes, they just run, pound the ball, and you can't run against Georgia. We know that. But my point is, I think he's gotten all the monkeys off of his back this year, where I'm not just saying he's going to come in and they're happy to be there. I think they're in a tough spot facing this nasty Georgia team. That loss is the best thing that could have ever happened to this Georgia team. I would not want to face this team. That's my take. But you got the naysayers saying Kirby can't win the big one. They're overrated, blah, 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 blah. My point is, I think they're a live dog. Do I think they're going to win? No, I don't. I think Georgia is going to beat them, and then I think Georgia is going to knock the shit out of Bama, and I can't wait. I keep punching those tickets.
Well, I don't think Cincinnati even has a puncher's chance. I mean, it's great that they're there. They probably deserve to be there because if they're, but I don't know. I mean, the teams that they beat Notre Dame, who finished fifth in this thing or whatever. So that's why they're there. Oklahoma State fell out because they got beat. That kind of. I mean, but these aren't. The top 3 teams are in there. Michigan proved, I think, that they were a little bit better than Ohio State. Now, Ohio State, it's not that they're not any good. It's just they're young. I mean, that kid, the quarterback's a freshman, for God's sakes. So the running back's a freshman. So Ohio State's going to be sensational still. But that being said, that Ohio State's now playing Utah in that game, right? In the Rose Bowl.
I was wondering. I had Ohio State. Just because of the public, the following and everything, I figured they'd put Ohio State out -6.5 or 7 because it's Ohio State and it's the Rose Bowl.
Well, I don't know. I'm looking at this pregame thing, and it says they were -10.5, and now it's -6.5.
No. They
I'm like, how in the hell were they -10.5?
Okay, so here's what we're going to have to run into, okay? It is because you're going to run into discrepancies, and the public needs to know and understand this, guys, okay? You're going to see numbers like that the opening line was 10 and now it's 6.5, okay? You guys can't take the cheese here. You can't take the cheese, okay? That opening line was 6.5 or 7. That was the opening line, okay? So what you're seeing, and there's a million sites out there, okay? But what you're seeing is maybe the number, the computer model at 10, okay? When the number got to the public, it was 6.5 or 7. There was not bags and bags of money coming in on Utah to drop that from 10 to 7. It didn't happen.
Yeah, well, I believe that. I mean, I 100% believe that. I mean, I've been doing this long enough, and we worked together long enough that I've heard you say that a million times. I just think some of these matchups are interesting. It'll be fun to when I write the book out and see what happens with the numbers and how my computer models kick out numbers and what it looks like, and then kind of play the shit out and see what happens and kind of go from there. But getting into tonight's game, Jeff, I mean, this is going to be fun, right? So this is a game that's important to both teams. I think that the number one thing that is happening today, based on what I'm seeing, people are betting the under, and they're betting the under because the weather is shitty. I mean, it's not even close to even being not shitty. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, there's plus 20 mile an hour winds. It's supposed to be 29 degrees, which means the real feel is 15. And if you're throwing the ball in 20 mile an hour winds, that takes that away already. So I'm sitting here thinking this game It's going to be a running fest. They're going to run the ball because nobody's going to be able to throw the ball. And if that's the case, you know, I know you like New England and you're a Patriots guy, but as far as I'm concerned, you can't run on Buffalo. So you're going to have to mix things up and you're going to have to do all kinds of stuff. And here you're going to ask Mac Jones to do a lot of stuff. And I don't know if he's ever played in a game like this before in the temperature in this degree. I mean, he's from Alabama, or he played in Alabama. So I don't think he's ever played in a game where it's felt like 15 degrees. I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying that he's never done it. And as far as I'm concerned, whenever I make bets, I never ask somebody to do something they've never done before. And that's, I think, what you're going to end up asking them to do in this particular spot. So, you know, my numbers come out, and this is before the weather and all that stuff. It said 24-20 Buffalo. Now, when I kind of look at this game and break it down a little farther, you know, I don't think they're going to score that many points because of the weather. And I also think that the defense for both teams is good, but the defense for the New England is better against the pass than what they are against the run. So I like the idea that if you're going to run, the other part of it is that Buffalo has three guys that can carry the football, and Josh Allen's one of them. So I think they have lots of different options and lots of different things that give them the opportunity here to be a little more creative. So my mind says I think this is a Buffalo win tonight.
Well, it's funny because what I said earlier in the show I'm going to talk about is this was 2.5 across the Vegas Strip. Overnight, sharps came in. They started hitting Buffalo again. And now at South Point, at Westgate, at William Hill, it is all a Buffalo -3 and even on the juice. So the juice is on the Pat side. You can get Buffalo at 2.5 -120 at our friends at the Circa. The total again opened at 46. It's down to 41, and I get the weather chart up there. People that don't know a lot about Josh Allen, he played at Wyoming. And this is just an average day. I watched this kid in blizzards cut through the
no question.
And you know what? I was high on Josh Allen. I enjoyed watching him in college. And there were a lot of naysayers and poo-pooers out there. The kids can't do it. He's never going to make it. And the kid is taking steps each year. Now, with that being said, I'm not going to get caught up in the weather. I will tell you this. I've seen Tom Brady put up a 50 burger in blizzards, okay? So I'm not going to get snowed by the snow and the wind. The wind is a big thing. The Patriots do have a couple strong running backs. Probably, you're right. Mac has not seen weather like this or has played in weather like this. That will be a big thing. So it'll be interesting to see how they play. I think the first half will be real tight to the vest. You're going to see a lot of runs. You're going to see a lot of dink and dunks to Myers. I think you'll see a lot of 2 tight end sets with Smith and Henry. And you're going to want to get out of the first half, hopefully turnover free, maybe a 10-7, somewhere in that area, and then go from there. What is so interesting about this game is the Pats play the Bills tonight. They go on a bye week, and then they got to travel to Indy, which is, on fire. And then they get to come back home to play the Bills again. And then I think the Dolphins will be sitting there waiting for them, probably winners of 7 in a row. I know they end with the Dolphins in Jacksonville, or Jacksonville and the Dolphins. So my point is, as well as they have played the last 6 weeks, the whole season's right here. They're technically tied as the number 1 seed right now. They win this one, and they set themselves up in the catbird seat as long as they can get a split between Indy and Buffalo again, and then win the last 2. So listen, guys, this is going to be a hell of a game, hell of a chess match.
Well, I can tell you that in doing the analysis here, I look at strength of schedule because that influences the numbers. And I can tell you that the Buffalo Bills have played the 28th easiest schedule. I mean, I shouldn't say that. They are ranked 28th in strength of schedule, which means out of the 32 teams, they played an easy schedule. And the New England Patriots have played the 30th schedule. So when you go back and you look, right? So here's I'm looking at New England right now, right? So New England opened with Miami. They got beat, well, I think it was 16-17. Then they played the Jets and okay, whatever, they beat the Jets. Then they played the Saints and got beat by the Saints. And then they played the Bucks and got beat by the Bucks. And then they played the Houston Texans and they beat them. And then they got beat by the Cowboys. Not that these aren't, close games per se, because that Cowboy game, that went into overtime. Then they beat the Jets again. And this is why their schedule's weak. And it's because of the conference they play in, because they play the Jets in there, right? So they play the Jets. Then they beat the Chargers and they beat the Panthers, who haven't beaten anybody. And then they beat the Browns, who at the time, I think, wasn't that when Baker Mayfield was like struggling and hurt and all that stuff and collarbone and I don't know, whatever the hell his issues were. And then they beat the Falcons, and then they beat the Titans last week with whatever the hell's going on with that football team. So now they play a quality team in the Bills, or we think they're a quality team. And then they get a bye week, and then they're going to play the Colts. And I get it. The Colts are this weird team. Everybody goes and scores, God, the Colts are good. They're 6-6 going into yesterday's game, for God's sakes. And then they play the Bills again, and then the Jaguars and the Dolphins. So I don't want to sit here and say that I don't like what New England's doing, because I do. I think they're getting better. And I think that, but I also think the quality of opponent that they're playing is not very stellar. It's not very good. So what does that mean? Does that mean when they start playing some of these other teams, they might get exposed? I don't know. I just think of this, I just think that, when you're the Chicago White Sox and you're beating up on the Minnesota Twins and you're beating up on the Detroit Tigers and you're beating up on all those teams, and then when you play good teams, you can't beat them. That's a similar situation that what you might run into with what is going on with New England.
Well, I'm just going to say this. I'm not a New England honker. I'm not. I have never been a honker. I don't, in Bill We Trust, I was never a TB12, we'll all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. But I beg to differ on the analogy. For the fact of the matter is that they should have beat the Bucks, and they didn't. They should have beat Dallas, and they lost in overtime. Now, all of a sudden, the Chargers aren't a good team, or all of a sudden, the Titans aren't a good team. And then the Browns came into town when they were on their winning streak, and they beat them. Okay. So again, I'm not a honker. Okay. But my point is that the Bucks are the defending Super Bowl champs. Okay. And they're probably the best team in the NFC. Okay. Dallas was touted one of the best teams in the NFC, and they were rolling. They were averaging 40 points a game when they came into town. My point to the matter is that this team has progressed and are clicking on all cylinders. They got steamrolled by the Saints, and they actually should have beat the Dolphins opening day, but they fumbled that away. They were going in for the game-winning field goal, and Harris fumbled it. So my point is, strength of schedule, I kind of agree to disagree, because I think the Titans were a juggernaut. They just happened to play the Patriots again. No Henry, no AJ Brown, no Julio. So I get that part of it. Okay. But again, he hasn't been put in the spot. Am I expecting a win tonight? I don't know. When you go against Bill in these spots, you usually get egg on your face. I'm just going to state it this way. Vegas tipped their hand in my eyes. They made a stand. Their opening line was the Bills -3.5. Okay. When they open it at 3.5, that means they want Patriot money, and they got it. They got the Patriot money. If they open the Bills at 2.5, they wanted Bills money. So they kind of tipped their hand. Okay, I don't have anything right now on this game. You put a gun to my head right now and ask me who's going to win this game. I'm going to look you straight in the eye and I said the Bills are going to win this game.
Well, I just go back to, and it's okay. I mean, I think there's, a lot of things that I do that are surface related. So I have to find a way statistically to match teams up and to look at who they played and then give them, sort of quality wins or quality losses or quality whatever. And then it affects the outcome of where things go in the future. But so, when you're in New England or you're there and you kind of watch these games a little closer sometimes and you have a better, I'm old, so you have a better memory than on these games than I do. I can understand your thought process behind those things. I just don't change. I'm this is a process that I go through. And when I look at it, I have to go and say, hey, well, they played the almost easiest schedule in football, but so is Buffalo. I'm not saying that that's an easy schedule, that one has an advantage here, but I will say that I'll fall back onto the very first thing that I said, as we opened this conversation up. I will never bet on someone that I'm asking them to do something they've never done before. I don't do that. And then when you sit here and you start to think about what you're asking Mac Jones to do, he's never done. So when it comes to what Josh Allen has done, like you said, I mean, shit, he sleeps in this weather, so it's one of those
barefoot and no shirt to boot.
It's one of those situations that he's used to this. This is his cup of tea. Buffalo couldn't have picked a better quarterback to go play in these scenarios and these environments and all that stuff, as long as he develops, and he has. I mean, and then they have two other guys that can carry the football plus him. So is he going to throw the ball? He probably will. And he's probably, I don't know if he's used to 20 plus mile an hour winds or whatever, but I'm sure that in the plains in Wyoming, there's not a whole lot of stuff there, blocking the winds from him. So I do like the idea that this is one of those games that's better suited for Buffalo. Now, when they go play in New England in a couple of weeks, maybe the weather's not quite this way. Maybe it's just cold. And then you can sit there and go, well, Mac Jones has played a little bit of cold weather games and see, shit. Some of these guys, and I know like Tom Brady, he played in Michigan. So he's used to some of the cold stuff because he's from California, right? So, he didn't play in cold weather games until he was exposed to it. And that's going to be the same thing for Mac Jones. I will be very surprised if I see Mac Jones go out there with no damn long sleeve shirt on, though, and he's out there trying to prove how tough he is in that cold damn weather. And he's going to be out there throwing the football around and going, oh, look, I can do it. Oh, man, you guys are crazy. And I get it. These guys want to psych themselves out and they want to do all this stuff. But that's exactly what it is. It's a psych out job for themselves or whatever. And, I wouldn't be surprised if Bill Belichick and those guys have a game plan in this game that isn't revolving around Mac Jones, because I think they're probably going to be in the same spot where they're going to go, he's never done this shit before. Let's put the axis of who's going to carry the ball and what they're going to do on guys that have, and then let's figure out how do we attack this team, and then let's see if we can move the ball that way. And then, you're going to go against the number one defense against the run. Well, let me double check that because the Saints were that. Buffalo is in a lot of ways what I'm looking at on my numbers. EPA against the run, they're number one. EPA against the pass, they're number two. And see New England, number 16 against the run, number 3 against the pass. So it just, I know New England's got a good defense, but they're just not Buffalo's defense, or at least not yet. So I just see it differently. I think and I don't want to say this is an easy game because these are two teams that are in the AFC East, and it means a lot. But I do think that when you really think about what's going to happen here, as long as there's no stupid chances taken, I think that you're going to end up with one of these slugfest kind of games, and I think Buffalo's built for that.
No, and you know what I love so much about myself and yourself is, again, is we've been doing this for so long. You do it, you have one way, I have one way. We discuss it, and again, I was not backlashing or saying anything negative towards what you're saying, because I believe in everything that you do and all the numbers that you have. And again, on Sundays, so I can set the stage for everyone watching and listening here. Okay, we have the big screen. I don't know, 68, 70 inches. We have direct TV. So we have the NFL package. So there's literally 7 games going on. And my accountant, my best friend in the world, has the remote, and he, after every commercial, he's changing from A, B, C, C. So to make sure, so we don't focus on one game, and it's more just, just keeping an eye on everything, what's going on. And so it's not like, you got the big screen on one game and you're just flipping through this channels and stuff. So my point there is, I hear enough on what's going on with the locals, with Pats Nation and all of that. I just love the fact that, Bill can do no wrong. But since Tom left again, it's now, what have you done for me lately? So it's now Pats Nation is separated. You're either all in with Bill in the process, or you're a Tom Brady and a Bucs fan. And so it was, we had a bad year last year, but it's nice to see what they've put together. But I think what I said, a handful of minutes ago is so true. Is, listen, a 21-20 loss this week, right? And then a bye week, and a 23-20 loss in Indy. And now instead of 8-4, now you're 8-6. You're licking your wounds. And that Bills game coming to you now is a must win to save your playoff hopes.
Yeah, no question. And I think it's funny how these things, I shouldn't say funny, but I think it's interesting is a better word, how these games can lead to and mean so much, right? Like, the Minnesota Vikings trying to get into the playoffs can't lose to the Detroit Lions, for God's sakes. That kind of stuff cannot happen. It's the same with the 49ers. The 49ers, they cannot lose those games to the Seahawks. Those are things that cannot happen, but they do all the goddamn time. The Raiders getting beat by the Washington football team. That stuff can't happen. That's if you're truly going to make the playoffs and you're going to be a good team, you have to figure out how that works, right? So the big thing that they were talking about yesterday and watching that Ravens-Steelers game, if the Steelers lose yesterday, they're done. Okay, I think they're done anyway. But if they're done, but they found a way, and that's all part of how all this works. And then sure as shit, the Steelers play the Vikings the next week, for God's sakes. Stuff like that happens all the time in the NFL. And then you got to go and figure out, who's on a run and is it real, like the Chiefs, right? Are they on a really good run right now? Or are they just playing the way they're supposed to play? And they're not having the stupid turnovers and stuff that was killing them before and all that stuff. And, you just got to figure those things out. So I'm kind of interested because the Bills, they play the Patriots this week, and then they get the Buccaneers next week. So that ought to be an interesting matchup. And the look ahead line there is, by the way, is the Buccaneers -3 in that game. Total 52.5. It's down here in Tampa, so Tom doesn't have to go up there and deal with the wind and the cold and all that stuff. But, when he gets older, I guess maybe, he might freeze up. But anyway, I think I'm really not opposed in my play today. I'm going to be betting on the Buffalo Bills today.
No, and I will close with the fact that let me just pull this up again. I don't think if the Bills win, it will come into play. But the model initially, I think your Pats team total number will be right now at 17. So do the Pats get to 20, 21, or 23? Because that number has dropped to 41 there. I just wanted to see what they had here. Of course, they don't have it on that one. Give me 1 second here. Money line. Yeah, you can get the Bills right now minus 144 at Circa on the money line. You can get them at 2.5. I want to just take a quick look at the team totals. Okay, so you see, so the team totals now have not caught up to the total. The under-overs at 41. You got the Pats team total at 20 and a hook, under 123, and you got Buffalo at 23.5 under 137. So again, they got the 23-20. The team totals, and this is a pinnacle, are still based on that 44-43 under-over number. So they're kind of telling you right now 23-20. That's what they're telling you.
Now, did you see? Are you on Wager Talk?
Yes.
What about Bet Online? There, it's 19.5 and 21.5.
Correct.
So that's that's what they call those the over offshore type deal. But
yeah, so Pinnacle's sticking to the true numbers, and Bet Online is sticking to the numbers that have moved. You see what I'm saying? So do you believe in the model and the actual true numbers, or are you following the steam, the cheese, or whatever you want to say? So
yeah, I mean, I 100% understand why people would be betting this game to the under, but think about it. How many points has it already dropped? It's opened at what, 46? Didn't we say?
Yes.
And now it's down to 41. So I mean, it's already down 5 points. You can't chase anymore. I mean, you missed your window. You should have looked at this 2 days ago or yesterday and go, holy shit, it's going to be a snowstorm up there, and it's going to be, whatever conditions. And, I'm going to bet the under now before everybody moves. But now that it's moved, don't chase that number. Come up with another play. And you can do this all kinds of different ways. I mean, think the game plan through. Think how it's going to work out. This is where you come in and you try to figure out. Is there a team total side that they're not going to get to or reach or whatever? Can anybody get to 19 points tonight? You know what I mean? Like if it's really really windy, I think what did it say? 22 miles an hour wind or something like that. Man, that's a lot. And when it's 29 degrees or 25 degrees and it feels like 15 out there, I mean, holy shit, I don't want to be one of them sideline reporter girls. You'd be I don't know what you'd be doing, but you'd be cold. You'd be sitting there wanting to go get one of them big old jet heaters and stand in front of and stuff. So I just think it's going to be one of these games where this fits Buffalo's nature. It fits their quarterback. It fits their team. Not that New England can't play in the cold, but their quarterback's never done it.
All right, an amazing show, a great way to start the week. Scotty, circling the wagons with the Bills tonight. Myself, we're going to do a little more homework research. It might be one of those popcorns, grab a hot chocolate, and maybe look at some college hoops or some NHL or something. So, again, we had an amazing weekend. Scotty 5-0 over the weekend, and myself and the ECSI VIP crew, hell of a 7-1 parlay yesterday, 3-0. Two dogs winning outright, and Mahomes and company closing us out. So, hey, we're blessed where we enjoy what we do. We enjoy educating. We entertain once in a while. We'll put a smile on your face. But listen, everyone, very simple. If you wager in tonight, wager with your head, not your heart. If you have a problem, pick up that phone. There's an 800 number right there. Ask for help. Why? Because we care. We want to see you here next week, next month. Bring in the new year with ECSI, the Breakfast Bankroll. Myself and Scott wish you a blessed day. Cash some tickets. Enjoy the game tonight, and we will see you tomorrow.